Beloved, we are not merely wanderers in a broken world. We are not orphans abandoned in the ruins of time. We are the children of God, heirs not only to his promise, but to his very presence. And now, the hour draws near when the veil shall be lifted, and we shall see what our Father has long prepared for us. Eternal wealth awaits, not measured in coins or crowns of man, but in the imperishable glory that cannot rust or fade. You were chosen before the world began. This truth is not a poetic sentiment or a religious cliché. It is a divine reality rooted in the very heart of eternity. Long before light first pierced the darkness, before oceans crashed against shorelines, and before the mountains lifted their heads to the heavens, you were known. You were not a product of chance, nor the outcome of a random sequence of biological events. You are intentional, hand-selected by a God who is both infinite and intimate. In the eternal halls of heaven, your name was whispered with affection, and your purpose was written in the ink of everlasting love. This world, with all its noise and confusion, may often try to convince you that you are insignificant. But the truth is, you were conceived in glory. You existed in the mind of God before the foundations of the earth were laid. In that sacred silence where creation itself was but a future thought, your identity was already secure. Not because of what you would do or how you would perform, but because you are His. The one who formed galaxies and scattered stars across the sky also wove your spirit into being with holy care. Every detail of your soul, every flicker of your personality, every nuance of your heart was designed with a precision only heaven could craft. This chosenness is not a matter of privilege, it is a matter of calling. You were not selected to sit idle on the sidelines of history. You were not invited into the family of God simply to admire the view. No, your being chosen means you are entrusted with light in a world of shadows. Entrusted with truth in a world drunk on lies. Entrusted with hope in a generation worn down by despair. When God chose you, He did not just set His affection on you. He invested something eternal into your soul, a spark of the divine, a whisper of His voice, a fragment of His own image buried within you, waiting for the right moment to awaken. That moment is now. This season, this turning of time, is not a coincidence. It is a summons. The God who chose you before the world began is now calling you forward, not as someone to be merely inspired, but as someone to be ignited. The world needs the light He placed in you. There are people wandering in darkness who will never find their way unless you shine. There are chains of despair that will never break unless you speak. There are hearts too wounded to believe again until your life proves that restoration is real. And how could you do any of that unless you were chosen? You must understand, your existence is not just permitted, it is ordained. To be chosen by God is not to be elevated in pride, but to be rooted in purpose. It does not mean you will walk without struggle, or that your journey will be without storms. But it does mean that in every battle you do not stand alone. The one who knew you before time will not forget you in time. The hands that shaped you in eternity still hold you in the now. There is no shadow too deep, no failure too final, no detour too long that can revoke the truth of your divine selection. Even when you doubt yourself, even when you feel unworthy or uncertain, your chosenness remains. For it does not rest on your ability, but on God's unchanging will. He does not regret calling you. He does not second-guess His decisions. What He started before time, He will finish in time and carry into eternity. The world may have overlooked you. Even your family may have misunderstood you. But heaven has never stopped watching you, never stopped believing in you, never stopped calling you by your eternal name. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are not too late. You were chosen before the first star lit up the sky, and that means your value is not based on how others see you, but on how God designed you. Step into that truth. Let it shatter every lie spoken over you. Let it silence every fear that tells you you're not enough. You are a child of the living God, and you were chosen before the world began. Now, live as one who has been eternally called, for your time has come. Your trials were training, not punishment. It is one of the deepest misunderstandings of the human heart to assume that suffering is always a sign of divine displeasure. We look at our wounds and wonder what we did wrong, how we failed, or why we were abandoned. But in truth, the fire you passed through was not meant to consume you. It was meant to refine you. You have not been forsaken. You have been forged. Like gold purified by intense heat, your soul has been shaped and strengthened through each trial, each sorrow, and each night of silent tears. The path of the beloved is rarely smooth because it leads not to ease but to excellence. A craftsman does not test what is unworthy of perfection. Likewise, your life has been touched by fire because something of value was always there to be revealed. God does not waste pain. Every heartache you endured, every moment of confusion, every betrayal and loss, none of it escaped his gaze. He did not inflict these sufferings, but he allowed them, and through them, he worked something eternal into your being. Trials are not stumbling blocks, but stepping stones. They are sacred classrooms where the soul learns endurance, the heart learns compassion, and the spirit learns trust. When you were at your lowest, when all you had left was a whisper of hope, that was the soil in which real faith grew. Not the shallow faith that depends on sunshine and praise, but the kind that clings to God in the dark and says, "Even now, I will trust you." There is a kind of wisdom that only grows in winter, and you, chosen one, have walked through your own long winter seasons. Seasons where the promises of God seem distant, the heavens silent, and the light all but gone. But through it all, something was happening beneath the surface. Roots were growing deeper. Character was being carved into your soul. You were being taught to rely not on what you see or feel, but on what you know to be true. And that truth is this: you are loved beyond measure, and nothing can separate you from that love. Not hardship, not sorrow, not even your mistakes. The very trials you thought would break you have become the means by which you were made whole. When a soldier is trained for battle, it is not cruelty that leads to hardship. It is preparation. You are being equipped even when you didn't realize it. The battles you've already survived have strengthened your spiritual muscles for the greater assignments to come. You know how to persevere because you've already endured what others would have collapsed under. You know how to stand when everything shakes because you have already learned to build your foundation on the rock that does not move. This was not punishment. This was preparation. It was your spiritual boot camp, your divine conditioning. You were being readied for a glory so weighty, so eternal, that only a tried heart could carry it without falling. Even your failures were tools in the hand of grace. Every wrong turn, every regret, every moment you wish you could erase has been redeemed by a God who specializes in resurrection. Nothing is wasted. He has used even your brokenness to shape a testimony that can bring freedom to others. You are not defined by your wounds, but by your healing. You are not the sum of your suffering, but the fruit of what it has produced. And what it has produced is endurance, character, humility, and unshakable hope. These are treasures the world cannot buy, and the enemy cannot steal. So do not despise the path that brought you here. It was carved with tears, yes, but it has also been marked with divine fingerprints. You were never alone. In the furnace, in the valley, in the storm, he was there, closer than your breath. And now, having been tested, you emerge not bitter but better, not hardened but holy, not crushed but crowned. You walk with a quiet strength, a depth of wisdom, and a heart that knows what it means to truly trust. And this, beloved, was always the goal, not that you would have a life free from pain, but a life filled with purpose. Your trials were never meant to punish you. They were always preparing you for the weight of eternal wealth that now awaits. This world is not your home, but your assignment. It is a temporary passage, a fleeting breath in the lungs of eternity. The sorrow, the chaos, the noise that surrounds you, it is not the final word. You were not made to blend into the dust and distraction of this earth. You were sent here as a messenger, a witness, a bearer of something divine. Your citizenship is in heaven, and your journey here is a sacred commission. You walk not merely as one surviving the trials of life, but as one sent on purpose, filled with purpose, and protected by purpose. The world may try to define you by its fleeting standards, your wealth, your looks, your failures, or your successes, but those measures cannot hold the weight of who you truly are. You are a representative of a kingdom unseen, and your presence on this earth is not accidental. It is strategic. You were placed here at this exact time, in this generation, in your specific family, neighborhood, and city, because God, in His infinite wisdom, knew this was where your light was most needed. You are not lost in the crowd. You are assigned. Every breath you take is part of a divine strategy. You are not merely enduring life. You are executing a divine assignment, whether you feel it or not. Heaven has trusted you with influence, with gifts, with a voice, and with a heart that beats with the rhythms of eternity. The ache you feel when you see injustice, the yearning you carry for something more, the tug in your soul that tells you this world is not enough. These are signs that you were made for something higher. They are not flaws in your design. They are proof of your heavenly origin. Because you are on assignment, your life has eternal consequence. Your choices echo beyond the moment. Your words plant seeds in unseen soil. Every act of love, every gesture of kindness, every truth spoken in faith, they ripple out into eternity in ways you cannot always perceive. You may think your obedience is small, your influence limited, but God does not measure like man. One prayer whispered in faith, one step taken in trust, one moment of standing firm when others fall away. These are the bricks that build eternal impact. This is the soil in which legacy grows, not legacy in the eyes of men, but legacy in the heart of heaven. Because this world is your assignment and not your home, you must learn to hold lightly what it offers. Its treasures are rusting, its promises are unstable, its glory fades like mist at dawn. But what God gives lasts forever. Do not be seduced by the comfort of temporary things. Do not anchor your worth in things that will one day be dust. You carry within you a treasure the world cannot comprehend. Your peace is not based on circumstance. Your joy is not dependent on outcome. Your purpose is not tied to approval. It is rooted in the one who sent you, and He has equipped you with everything needed to fulfill your task. Your assignment may not look grand in the eyes of the world. It may involve serving quietly, forgiving freely, enduring patiently, or loving persistently. It may mean standing alone when the crowd runs the other way. But make no mistake, there is nothing ordinary about it. To live with love in a world of fear is radical. To speak truth in an age of deception is warfare. To walk in humility in a culture of pride is a divine revolution. You are not here to conform, but to transform. You are not here to impress, but to impact. And that impact, though it may not be praised by men, is honored in heaven. Do not grow weary when you feel misunderstood, when you feel homesick for something deeper, more eternal. That ache is real. It is your spirit remembering its true home. But remember too that your time here is not wasted. It is short, yes, but it is also sacred. One day you will return to the place where your soul was made to dwell. But until that day, let your life here burn brightly. Let your days be spent with intention. Let every breath be an offering. Votamuring. This world is not your home. But while you are here, let heaven be seen through you. Let eternity speak through your kindness, your courage, your endurance, and your unwavering faith. For you have been sent, you are on assignment, and heaven is watching, cheering, and preparing to receive you with joy when the mission is complete. The riches of God are not fleeting but forever. In a world that chases after wealth that withers, fame that fades, and pleasures that perish, the treasure of the Almighty stands eternal. It is not stored in vaults or displayed on stages. It is not the kind of wealth that can be counted, stolen, or taxed. It is the wealth of peace that passes understanding, of joy that endures the storm, of love that outlives death. These are not metaphors. They are realities offered freely to those who walk with God, riches that time cannot corrupt and circumstances cannot erode. You were never meant to settle for the hollow prizes of the world. You were made for a deeper abundance, one that flows not from accumulation, but from alignment with the heart of the eternal King. When you chase what the world calls wealth, you find yourself trapped in cycles of comparison, anxiety, and restlessness. No matter how much you gain, it's never enough. The appetite grows, but is never satisfied. That's because your soul was not built to feed on dust. You were designed to be filled with something more substantial, something eternal. The riches of God do not fluctuate like the market. They do not depend on who applauds you, what status you reach, or how successful others perceive you to be. These treasures are secure, anchored in the unchanging character of the giver. God does not offer temporary rewards that glitter for a moment and turn to ash. He offers a wealth that grows in depth as you grow in intimacy with Him. There is a richness in simply knowing Him, to hear His voice in quiet places, to feel His presence when all else fails, to sense His hand guiding you, even when you don't understand. These are treasures that gold cannot replicate. There is a joy in obedience, a strength in surrender, a freedom in trusting Him that no earthly riches can ever buy. While the world scrambles for titles, possessions, and influence, the children of God are invited to drink from a well that never runs dry. Every promise of God is part of that wealth, So every answered prayer, every moment of divine comfort, every breakthrough after a long season of waiting is evidence that your inheritance is real. And this inheritance does not begin when your earthly life ends. It starts now. You don't have to wait to taste the abundance of heaven. You can walk in it today. You can live with unshakable peace in the middle of chaos. You can love deeply even when you are hurting. You can give generously even when you don't have much, because you know you are connected to a source that never lacks. This is what it means to be rich in God. Your treasure is not stored on earth, where moth and rust destroy, but in heaven, where nothing is ever lost. Your account in eternity overflows when your heart reflects the goodness of the one who made you. These riches also flow through your life to others. You are not a container meant to hoard grace, but a vessel designed to pour it out. The more you release, the more God entrusts to you. When you offer hope to the hopeless, love to the unloved, and kindness to the weary, you are distributing heaven's wealth. And the beautiful mystery of God's economy is that the more you give, the richer you become. Not in the way the world measures, but in the way heaven rejoices. You gain wisdom, clarity, purpose, and a kind of strength that endures all seasons. You begin to understand that true wealth is not what you hold in your hands, but what you carry in your soul. In the end, everything of this world will pass away. The cars will rust, the houses will crumble, the accolades will be forgotten. But what God has placed in you and through you, faith, hope, love, mercy, righteousness, these will shine like stars forever. You are an heir of the eternal. Your Father is the creator of the cosmos, and He has already promised you a share in His glory. This is not wishful thinking. It is the inheritance of the saints. So walk not as one chasing shadows, but as one who possesses light. Live not as one starving for approval, but as one already accepted. You are wealthy beyond measure, not in silver and gold, but in truth and grace, and the unshakable promises of your God. Let the world see a different kind of wealth in you, one that cannot be stolen, one that cannot be lost, one that will shine long after every other kingdom falls. ChatGPT said, "Heaven has been preparing a place and a role for you." Long before you took your first breath, before you ever opened your eyes to this world, heaven was already working with tender intention and glorious anticipation to create a place that only you could fill. You were not an afterthought or a background figure in the story of creation. You are part of an eternal design, woven into the very fabric of heaven's plan. This place prepared for you is not merely a destination. It is a calling, a divine position tailored to the shape of your soul, to the gifts you carry, to the journey you've endured. There is a seat at the table with your name on it, and no one else can take it because you were made for it. There is a role in God's kingdom that has waited for your arrival, for your heart to be ready, your faith to be refined, and your spirit to be awakened. Everything you've gone through, every trial, every victory, every silence, every miracle, has been part of your preparation, just as a craftsman takes time to shape, smooth, and strengthen a vessel before it is used, so has God been shaping you for the assignment that awaits. This role is not given lightly. It is entrusted, and the trust comes because heaven sees the depth of who you are becoming. It is not about perfection, nor about worldly qualifications. It is about the quiet yes in your heart, the willingness to follow when you don't see the full path, the resolve to keep believing when everything around you shakes. These are the things heaven honors. These are the qualities heaven looks for when preparing a place and a purpose. This is why the waiting has mattered. This is why the delays were not denials. While you waited, heaven was working. While you were wondering if you had been forgotten, the angels were building. While you were praying for direction, the very foundations of your eternal assignment were being secured. Nothing has been wasted. The nights you cried yourself to sleep, the times you served when no one noticed, the faithfulness you showed when it felt like nothing was changing, all of it was counted. All of it was written into your story by the hand of a Father who sees in secret and rewards in fullness. Your role is not insignificant. It is not small. It may not look grand in the eyes of the world, but it carries the weight of eternal consequence. You may be called to influence nations or to raise a single soul who will. You may be called to speak truth to thousands or to whisper hope to one who is on the brink of despair. Whatever the role, it is holy. Because it was crafted by heaven, it carries heaven's authority. Because it was designed for you, it will fit no one else. You do not need to strive to make it yours. It already is. You only need to walk forward in faith, trusting that what God begins, He also completes. There is also a place, not just a role, but a home, a space prepared in eternity where your soul will one day fully rest. A place untouched by pain, unshaken by fear, unmarred by sin. This is your eternal inheritance, not earned by merit, but gifted through grace. You belong there not because of who you are in your strength, but because of who you are in Him. Heaven has not just made room for you, it has made space that was incomplete without you. Every time your heart has longed for something more, every time this world felt too heavy, too loud, too broken, that longing was a signal from the place prepared for you, a reminder that you are journeying home, and though the road may be hard, the destination is sure. So live with purpose, walk with assurance, know that heaven is not guessing about your future, it has already prepared it. You are not stumbling through life, hoping something good will come. You are being drawn forward by a divine plan that was written before the stars were born. And at the center of that plan is a God who delights in you, who believes in you, who has set eternity in your heart and placed a calling in your hands. When you doubt, remember this truth. Heaven has already made space for you. It is waiting with joy. The angels know your name. The role is ready. The place is set. All that remains is for you to step into it with boldness, with humility, and with the deep peace of knowing you are expected. Now is the time to arise and walk in divine authority. You were never meant to live bowed under the weight of fear, shame, or uncertainty. The same power that spoke creation into being, that calmed the storm, that raised the dead, now resides within you, not as a distant memory, but as a present, pulsing force of holy purpose. For too long, you may have hesitated, waiting for a sign, a confirmation, or for everything to be perfect. But the heavens have already spoken. This is your moment. The hesitation must end. The time for shrinking back is over. You were created to rise, not to blend in. You are called to lead, not to linger in shadows. There is a divine authority resting on your life, not earned, but inherited, because you are a child of the King. This authority is not loud or boastful, but unshakable. It comes from knowing who sent you. It does not depend on applause, validation, or titles. It flows from identity, not insecurity. When you understand who walks with you, you stop fearing what stands against you. Divine authority means speaking when others are silent, standing when others fall, believing when others doubt. You are not claiming a power of your own, but agreeing with what heaven has already declared over you. And heaven has declared that you are more than a conqueror. You are equipped, empowered, and established for such a time as this. You may think your past disqualifies you, that your flaws, your failures, your fears somehow make you unworthy to walk in this authority. But that's a lie. God does not call the perfect. He perfects the called. Every crack in your vessel only allows more of His light to shine through. Authority does not come from being spotless. It comes from being surrendered. The authority of heaven moves through those who know they cannot do it alone, through those who have come to the end of their own strength and found, at last, the beginning of His. Your authority is rooted in your connection to Him. As you abide, you receive. As you trust, you are empowered. And as you step out in faith, that authority becomes visible not only to you, but to the world, and even to the unseen forces that seek to stop you. When you walk in divine authority, the atmosphere shifts. Peace enters rooms that were filled with anxiety. Chains begin to loosen just by your presence. Words spoken in faith pierce through lies and bring clarity. This isn't just theory, it is your inheritance. The early believers understood this. They healed the sick, cast out demons, and turned cities upside down, not because they were special, but because they were surrendered. That same spirit now lives in you. The authority of Christ is not limited to history books or sacred pulpits. It is active in your life, in your voice, in your hands, and in your story. But authority is only effective when it is activated. You must rise. You must speak. You must believe what God has said about you more than what the enemy whispers to you. You must remember that your authority is not in your emotions, but in His name. You do not fight for victory. You fight from victory. The battle has already been won. You are not trying to prove yourself. You are walking out a truth that has already been sealed in eternity. Every step you take in obedience is a declaration to the darkness that you know who you are. Every act of kindness, every stand for righteousness, every decision to walk in love is a weapon in your hand, backed by heaven's full support. The world is desperate for light bearers who understand their authority, not just to talk about hope, but to carry it. Not just to dream about justice, but to embody it. You are not powerless. You are not voiceless. You are not waiting to be chosen. You already were. The time of preparation has passed. The time of hiding is over. It is time to move, time to speak, time to rise. Not in your own name, but in His. Not for your own glory, but for His kingdom. The enemy trembles not when you feel strong, but when you stand in the truth that God is with you. So rise, beloved. The earth is groaning for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God. The time is now. Your authority is real. Step into it.